There's so much to learn to survive this life.
No.
Let's chat while we draw. I'm going to ask if there's any questions that you have from last week. Because I don't know if anyone zoomed forward in the recording because I did screen capture. I didn't bother with the voiceover. It just takes too long. Hopefully that was okay.
That was very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried doing some on my own, and it just, my brain isn't getting it yet. So
yeah, that's why we're
I
here.
gotta forget.
Yeah. I also think that you're more than likely, and this is an assumption, but you're more than likely also just not confident to say that's it. Like, so I'd love to see what you've done because it probably great. And, or, you're on your way, but it's more about the feeling of like, well, I have to question myself. This can't be right.
I started trying to do different marks, and then I just ruined stuff, and I don't know, like. Is it there? You can ignore the blind contours of the chicken and the opossum in the cup.
I love them. Those ones, actually, each of them have really great elements. The ones that are in the center are beautiful. And yet today I want to talk about taking some of the elements from the first and the last one and how you can combine them. This is really the variations on one page is where I want to start today. So I think you are ahead and that you are getting it.
Okay.
I'm happy to confirm that for you. Christine, do you have thoughts?
I'm with Stacy. It's I go from too much detail and then there's not enough detail. And I'm thinking, well, where am I supposed to end up? And then of course I have a conversation with myself and say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're practicing and the whole concept. I get the concept of it. Mm-hmm. My hand's not going there yet.
Right. And my brain is like, okay, you want it to look nice, mm-hmm. but I don't like, it's not looking nice, Mm-hmm.
I think that's an interest. That's a very interesting thought.
Yeah.
Is that we want to capture an essence, but we also want to have a good composition and a nice quality of like, it reminds me of anatomical drawings where you want it to be accurate scientifically, but then also beautiful. And generally you only get one or the other.
Yeah.
Does that resonate with you, Alec?
It very much does. The same thing.
I was looking at your Japan album this morning. I didn't get through all of them, but it was really wonderful because I hadn't been to Osaka and some of the places. So I printed out all the photos that we had decided for you from last week. So I hope that today, if we can just start there, we can feel comfortable bringing in something new. But I'd like to this morning just start with a little bit, just a toe in from last week so that there's a connection, but then to move into trying just 2 to 3 variations. There is no right result here. And yet the more we practice, the more we visually see instead of in our heads going like, oh, well, if there's all these aspects to a scene, which is the right one to keep? What is the heart of this? You could do 100 variations. And then in comparison, you're going to have 5 that are strongest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's not to say those 5 are best necessarily on their own. It's only when you have comparison. So we have to do some ugly shit And that's why I suggested sketchbook, and then to have some paper that is not precious so that we can zoom through. And if you're going to especially do like a study on the whole, 8x10 or whatnot. So I just thought I'd share. I'll send this note to you. This is literally from Google. I snagged it. I mentioned some of this stuff last week about the philosophy of sumi-e painting, which is Japanese painting in ink. And that whole process has been really fascinating to me because it's a discipline. And it's something that's so disciplined with something so simple as a result. You'd think that those two don't go hand in my mind, they don't tend to jive, like something more carefree is going to get that result. But actually, it's something that's really quite serious. and yet that seriousness is still also a state of mind. So you can't take yourself too seriously, but it is a focus. Maybe that's a better word for it. There's a focus to it. And I can't dictate your environments, but this is something when outside of class as well, you can try and cultivate an environment that is right for you, so that in the future, no matter where you are, whether you're on Zoom or if you're in the middle of busy street in Italy, you're able to harness that calm, gentle focus, so that you can really capture just what's essential. So let's talk about some of the key things here. Okay, Heather's not joining us. That's okay. And we'll send her the recording. I'll still actually do an example for Naomi and Heather with one of their picks. Okay, so we're still going to focus on the big shapes. I'm going to do a spotlight here. We're going to move into tones today, meaning whether if it's in ink, it could be just a little bit more of a watered down wash or different pen thicknesses. So you could use a brush pen and then something a little more fine. If it's charcoal, we have smudging and erasing. So I'm going to choose, I really liked this one of Naomi's because it's super challenging. And while I'm going to start the example with this. While I was doing the contours over the images in Procreate, that's the only one that I took back. Like I edited out my first try of it. So I will explain why. So compositionally, this is very simple. What's important? It's the horizon. I know the focus is all of the housing, like rooftops, but it's actually, if I was to simplify this one, like in a notan, just do a little small notan here. That's what's important, is that there is a sky that's helping us feel like we're above looking on the top of the houses. And there's interesting textures of the clay shingles. So just to get that kind of compositionally, everything else in here is the challenge, right? We know the horizon line. That's last week looking at the composition. That is the beginning. And to keep that the more simple, the better. And to recognize that all this stuff isn't part of the composition. It's the detail.
Yeah.
So what do I do now? Now I have a horizon line. What's important here? This is where we can go into tones. Now I'm just going to be in my mind, be like, okay, I woke up, I'm here. Can't remember where she says this is. And I'm just going to split up into big shapes here. Because it's this house here with this window that is really drawing my attention. And all this stuff I don't necessarily need to do anything with, in my opinion. So this could all just be big shapes. And then I want to know who's living here. And then to balance out the composition, I could do a bit of a diagonal value up here. So I've got my big shapes, I've got my tones. I feel like it's broken up, but that's not beautiful, right? You don't even have to agree with me. It's not. So I'm going to take one of my sheets of paper here. Okay. And I think for ease of just looking at quality of line and simplicity, I'll go back to ink. Maybe I'll just do one little small thumbnail here in ink just so I can get a sense of how that will look. Okay. So I've got my horizon. And then this is where, because I'm not using a dip pen, again, variations. We're going to do a couple to see what we like. That having just some texture here in that roof. And I still have the photo I can reference. But it's also a feeling, like thinking about running my hand over those or being on top of that roof and feeling like I'm going to slip right off because those clay tiles are just going to crack right from underneath me. So here we go. Breathing. It's all about the quality of line. And we talked about this again last week, the quality of line of like whatever tool you're using. If it's the ink, what can you do with that brush? If it's your charcoal, still again, that variegated line, soft touch to a hard touch. The lines should make you shiver, should make you excited, orgasm, all of it. Okay, so here we go. I've got these mountains in the background. And I got to skip there, leave it, love it. So now I'm going into the rooftops that are pretty sharply angled. That's a nice line, this one. It's a nice line because I say so. And that's like, it really, really matters, right? Because if someone else is like, oh, that's too quick or this is too that, and then it's like, okay, yeah, but it felt good. It also feels like a nice balance. This is heavy. This is lighter going off. So now I've got that. Here we go into some nice cloud action. Ooh, now using that tool felt really nice. Oh, now I can get perhaps, oh, all those tiles. I like it. Now I'm going to think about like how to perspective wise this line, which is right here. What kind of line do I need there? Well, that thin to thick, solid meeting here to balance and then sort of trailing off. So It's a breath. It's a yay. Exactly what I wanted. Have you ever heard that saying, like when you're measuring something or when you're cutting something, look to where you're going, not where you are?
Yeah.
So when you're making a line, that has to be spontaneous, look to the end, and then just let it happen. Also, you have to let go of your expectations of it. But okay, so there's something really interesting happening in here. I know it, this person who's living here. So now, is this getting too much? Maybe. Is it going to get too much if I get into all over here? Oh, there's another house. How am I going to make that look like another house roof? Just repeat subtly. Now that I have some balance, I can really start to just go in and be like, and then there's some windows here. And the shape of those windows is what really matters, if anything. Okay. I think that's enough with me. And then this is just a little test because I think that this is going to be the too much one. This is just to see what do I really need. Let's get all that away for a second. So I'm looking at my value study. What if I bring in that here? Stop. I think you go in and maybe just add a little bit darker here to push that back. So when you start to look at going from here to here, well, to here, to here, to here, this is always going to be the simplest, the no 10. So it depends on what you like. Do one more of this. I'm going to take a thicker piece of paper so I can get more. This was like drawing paper. So now I'm looking at the medium and the surface. How do I get what I want? I want to have a little bit more of a blocked in situation instead of all those shingles. I should still want those, but not as much. Okay. Oops, sorry, I'm not in frame. All right. Mm. Oh, one more with this. So something that I want you to remember is you can always look back at that original photo. So right now I'm like scanning all the sketches, but then I'm like, okay, I need to come back here and look for sort of the more solid shapes because I want to build sort of a heart here value. And because it's stormy, I want this a bit dark, but it's still nice and dark. There we go. And some, oh, you should see how much I splattered. All right, that just opened. That was green light. I mean, my wall and everything is splattered. So I like it. There we go. So I'm going to let that dry. And then I'd really like to go in with that brush pen and start to see how much, this one's dead. Is that dry? Yeah. How much do I really need? And then it's the angles of those windows. That's getting somewhere for me. But I can't get these both in a frame. This is generally why I demonstrate smaller as well. But which is better? Which is more simplified? That's, I think, subjective. Now that I see this one on its own, I really like it. But then when I compare them, I quite like this one. And yet look at what that paper's doing with that pigment. It's so fascinating. So now we've just got variations. One's not better than the other. I'm going to set those aside and come back to them because we're still learning about what to keep, what to take away. I'm going to move into someone else's reference here. I can't remember who I missed last week doing a demo in the class. I did Alex. I did Stacy's tree.
You did mine too.
Yeah. And I did one for Heather. And I just did Naomi. Okay, cool. All right. Choose one of mine then. Shout out if you want a specific. But this is for what the work you did last week, getting the no-tan and the gestural. Now it's about looking at those shapes a bit differently with tone. And just think, light, medium, and dark, three values. How can that help you remove something that you didn't know if you needed or not? Or how can that help you get detail that you want, but it'll feel too complicated if you put it in there with a strong, bold mark? And I know this isn't a landscape, but I'm just going to use this as an example. I can pull this photo up if you really need it, but I'm sure you can imagine it. This is a cherry blossom tree. Why is it not in focus? With a bird in it. Okay. Simple. We've all seen one. We've also all seen the Japanese drawings where you have a couple of branches like so. So I'm going to look at that. And which branch is the most important? The one the bird is sitting on. What's important about the bird? It's the shape. And can I get that in one stroke? Or very few strokes. It kind of looks like a duck, but that's my first go of it. So I'm not going to judge. And then how many other branches do I truly, truly need? It'd be nice if some crossed over. Everything seems to be reading from left to right, which is good. And then I want some color. And that's where next week, I just don't want to complicate things too much with color right now. But with value, I can go in and sort of add in the flowers. So what's beautiful about the whole concept of ink painting, and I still see charcoal in on this for all the reasons, is that it's not about accurately getting the reference photo. This is about capturing the essence. So what is important? Is it the tree that you took the photo? Is it the shadows, reflection that, Heather was saying she really wants the shadows and the reflection of something. So then when you have a scene and it's the reflections, why would you focus on the trees that are, on the land that are being reflected? We know they're there. Just do the shadows. And then like a little insinuation or a grouping, like a whole space. I'd love to do a demo of one of hers, Heather's that she has. So I will get there. But does anyone have a request? Because we're doing our own photos. I don't want to skip over and choose and be like, oh, yeah, this is what I like. Because I have them all printed out here, so I can reference any of them. The sun's sunny. Yep. Okay. This one will be better with color for sure. But design wise, let me just go in on this process. So did you sketch that one out, Stacy? I think you did in the sketchbook you shared this morning. Oh, you're muted. It's okay.
Yeah, that's the one I did several different renditions of.
Yes, and I really, really appreciated. So you had spotlight here. You had like simplified this with like a contour form, and that was good. Because that's what matters, right? You've got your horizon. You've got this little architecturally, like it's really a cultivated garden. That plot of land, I think there really, it's not wild. I think that's kind of important.
Right. It actually, it's a little creek that runs through there. There's stones, so you can't see the actual waters. So how it goes down in the V and the dip in the middle where the big tree is, there's a creek down there.
I do see the reflection, actually. Yeah. Okay, so you've already got this, and then we're going to go to just do this tiniest little notan here. What, like lights and darks, right? So it's basically half and half with this tree sticking out. Fine. Do you see how, hopefully you can see how, like this notan is so helpful for what your design is.
Yeah.
So when you go into the next stage, which is just looking at value. And then, ooh, you can have, little stream in there. And these are like willows. So there's got to be some texture with the willow aspect. But that's getting a little bit more detailed than this. So that was with charcoal. So we'll go. These are like really old samples. I can't believe I still have these. These are like 25 years old. I've been carrying them around. Like a bigger crayon here. Ooh, now this paper is so different. I'm going to react to it, but I'm looking, really feeling those little studies. Okay, so I've got this tree and it connects. Now, as I'm doing these marks, it's feeling like this is one tree, but guess what? From a distance, this also looks like it's in a way one tree. So I'm going to go with it. Do the trees over here matter? No. Now that I know there's a little stream there. Ooh, okay. Now I'm feeling something. Now to showcase the sunset and the light, I know from Principles and Elements that having high contrast in that area is going to bring a focus. So I'm going to push the contrast here. So I don't often I use my fingers, but it's feeling good today. How much of this repeated line do I need? This is where you're going slower because you have the design. Really like that line here, but I want to darken that up. And as soon as I do that, I start to go, oh, it's too much. That first line was perfect. So this is an indication of like, stop. I'm just going to keep going to show you. I should have stopped. Only it depends on how simple you want it, but and then, okay, so there is a tree over here, and I think having some of that depth and dark would be interesting. Do I just need an insinuation of it? See, now I think it's getting too complicated. Did I really need this? No. It actually feels like a tree that's running away. And now that I look at it in the photo, it looks like a tree running away. So it doesn't need to be in the scene. You can rewind the recording and look. About 2 minutes ago, it was good, just centered, because that's what mattered.
Right. I also like the bushes at the bottom. But
Yeah. And I really, now you had sketches and variations, Stacey, that were really good. Do those bushes need to be dark, or do they just need to be sort of like a indication of line? So is it a shape or a line? What works? You have to try both. Maybe even a combination. This paper was really good for me today. So shout it out. This was a charcoal paper. It has that ingress pattern to it. And typically I don't like it. But for this piece, this moment, it works. And I think just being aware of that, acknowledging that. So if I was to do this again, I'm going to try it again in a completely different medium. Now that I know where to stop, I'm going to use like a brush pen. I'm going to check my level on this. All right, here we are. So started with the tree. And this is a different paper and it's marked brush pen, and it's really nice. Feeling it. Got this sunset glow. I'm going to make it connect into the stream. And repeat some of that pattern from the trees into these little bushes. And before I make any more marks, I'm just going to step back a little bit, because up front it's going to feel weird. Like, what is that? But it looks more like what I wanted it to look like than this one.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys hear the herd of elephants upstairs?
Nope. No.
Amazing. So
I heard little voices earlier, but
okay. Thank you. Mm. I'm going to pull up just to share an image that I had even played with last week, but I'd like to now do a nice looking simplified piece of it. Piece 4. Okay, so this one, this is on the way to see the snow monkeys, and I love the shadow. And it really, what's important? I mean, the composition is one thing. I'm just going to quickly look back at what I had done last week. Yeah. Okay. The composition is quite simple, actually. But it's the shadows that I like about the photo. But what is it about the moment? It was a long walk. It was peaceful. It was bloody hot, even with all the snow, because I was wearing a badass coat. And I was really hot and enjoying myself. And I enjoyed the walk more than I did seeing the monkeys. Okay, so that's my memory. And here's some of the sketches that I had done last week. These ones. What matters? Is it the shadow? Can I, with value, get what I need with the shadow? Or was it the walk with the people? Can I get a vote? You can just call out them which 1, 2, or 3, just because there's only a few of us. Shout out. What do you want?
3.
Yeah, 3.
Sure, 3.
Alec, did you have to do that walk?
Yes.
What were your feelings about it?
It was peaceful. It was very muddy.
Yes.
So navigating the mud was an experience.
Especially the time of year you went. It would have been muddy. And now may I ask, was it stinky?
Not stinky. I didn't think so.
Maybe not the walk, but when you got to the monkeys.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, okay.
I love it. Also the sulfur from the.
Sorry, what was that?
Sulfur, like a very strong sulfur smell.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Maybe they have that sort of when I was approaching it, I thought that I said, oh no, the sewer broke today. Like, you know, I was so maybe they have other buildings because there were other things there, but
spring stuff. Gazers like, yeah, that smells like rotten eggs. There was a person coming in with white shoes when we met as we were stepping down, and they're coming in, and I look at our shoes. It's like, oh, will I get my shoes dirty?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like a long walk, like a lot of stairs, long walk. I mean, as long as your shoes are comfy, but yeah, you got to let go.
Yeah.
That's really nice to be able to share that. Because it was a trip in and of itself just to do that visit. So I'm going to just use that as an example to say that even though you like something about a photo, that's not necessarily the spirit of the memory. If I was to paint that photo, I would probably focus on the shadows. But trying to capture something that's minimal, a feeling. Are the tree shadows important in that feeling? No, it was walking in a line with a group during this, like, you know, big, huge, incredible forest on this path. So in that, I'll look at what I've been enjoying. Okay. Charcoal paper. I'm going to put the text on the bottom here. Really liking this. This is like a drawing crayon. It's similar to charcoal or Conte, I guess. So I've got the photo. I've got my sketch. Where am I going to start? I'm going to start at the destination where we're walking, well, where we're walking from. And then how to get people. Now, gesturally, if you do a continuous line, you won't overthink it, because I promise you when it comes to people, you will. But really what you need is the upside down exclamation point. You need a head and you need a weighted end with maybe, some inconsistency of a foot here and there. And then it's the overall mass. Kind of like a heartbeat, eh? Ooh. And this side had all kind of mostly leaning because they were so far down low. How much do I need to balance? If I have thin lines over here, just to have a couple, just a little bit here and there. Do I need all the evergreen stuff in the back? It's just maybe a little fleeting bit of it. And if I'm going to have it there, I should probably have a little bit here. And now that I can smudge, maybe I can get some of those shadows in. And that does it for me. Mm. Yeah, I like that paper texture. Okay, let's do a little share. Let's chat things through.
I'm finding I like charcoal better than the ink.
Mm. Yeah, and is that because there's the smudginess, the getting the tones not so harsh, softer?
Yeah. And maybe just because I found that I like charcoal in general better than ink.
Ding, ding, ding.
I want to like ink.
Yes.
But
I understand. I like ink, but I mean, you give me one tool for the rest of my life, it's going to be charcoal. Oh, I'm so happy with just capturing that scene. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Should I just keep going? You want to just like randomly pop up and say I'd like to share? Because I would love for you to just keep rocking and rolling if that's what you are.
I just have a charcoal that I wet them.
oh yeah,
Gorgeous. That's a combo. There's nice wash in there as well.
Yeah, I just went on with water on the charcoal.
Mm-hmm. Is there a way? Okay, the brush in the front, the little shape in the front, is that just showing foreground?
It's a cluster of trees that are there.
Ah, okay. Let me grab your photo. Is this the one with the autumn trees or? Yeah.
The one with the water.
The one with the water. Okay. I would take it off or meet the water.
Yeah.
Just to connect it.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's not a standalone shape.
Yep.
You can have a bit of fun with the treetops as you have. Actually, I like that cluster. And just don't abandon it, you know.
I connect it to this water here.
Yeah. And then even going through it, I think layering, like crossing things instead of having them separate side by side, show that that's meeting the water.
Right.
And that's not overdoing it. So that's just a little example of like, just because you go and you adjust something, there's only one thing that can happen, is that if you had a quality of line there that was spontaneous and you do it again, you overwork. The second time is just automatically overworking it. But when it's a design factor, then what would you choose? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
See that? It just feels connect. I love that. And it still feels fresh and spontaneous. So you win.
All right. Thanks.
I love the water. The line that you have for the water. Yeah, it's beautiful. So here's, so when you have a piece that is, what paper did you use for that one?
So it's drawing paper.
So now you have drawing paper and you have charcoal. So now you could try that on something more textured, or even washi, which I'm going to break out in a minute. So that there's a subtle color, like say you have an earthy green or something that's more natural. This is getting into more of the mixed media, like how you can combine things that you feel speak to the scene, you know? Maybe just drawing paper is it, but think about what else you could try that on, because you have everything you need and you can stick to charcoal, because I really feel like it works. If you did that in ink, it would be a little harsher with the treetops and whatnot. So I think the softness works. So now you have a good combo. Should I washi? Ooh, I have this nice washi that's like barely there, transparent. I'm going to just try that with ink. This is it's this one.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm. It's a little tip on when you are using a brush. This actually can be applied to a charcoal like chunk stick, not a pencil, but it's just to hold it on its side and then pull. Because then you can get some really nice spontaneous marks out of that. Mm. Hmm. To hang this up to dry. I don't know how it's going to dry. But that's really interesting. It just dissolves.
Yeah. I also have a fair amount of charcoal paper, and I don't like the grit, but it's really nice with the ink.
Ooh. Well, let me see the ink one. Oh, yes. Yes, it is. I love this. The clouds, and I love the intensity of the black and with the tones. That to me captures it. I'm just as well as the charcoal one, but yeah, I like what the ink's doing on there too. That you can see your brush strokes.
Yeah. Yay, I use for the charcoal paper.
Yes, charcoal for ink, baby. That's a wonderful discovery. I mean, I relate in a big way that there's a lot of charcoal papers I don't like for charcoal, but now.
Yeah.
So who said it's still for charcoal? I like that.
The green always feels like that's not the texture I want.
There's still, I've never found, here, Stacey, I'll spotlight you. I've never found the same feeling like I get with Robert Bateman for charcoal. Oh,
Mm.
and this is charcoal, Stacey, that looks like ink, or is it a combo?
It is the water charcoal and then just charcoal.
Aha, okay, that's a good
gesso. So it's this gessoed paper. So I think that's why the charcoal, the water soluble charcoal.
It's beautiful. I love the way that it is sitting on that. I love like the gessoed surface.
Would putting in just yellow, would that ruin it?
I see. That's an interesting choice to put in the yellow. What was on the ground that's yellow?
I don't know. I just like the color of it.
Looks like golden.
Yeah.
No, it will not ruin it. I think the only time a shot of color can ruin something is if you do a really beautiful portrait and you just do the eyes. Because it's been done, it's just too much. I think that especially choosing yellow and not red for the rock, I think that is like cool. Yeah, go for it and test it. So I would recommend watercolor.
Watercolor or charcoal?
You have yellow charcoal?
Not charcoal.
Pastel?
So,
Pastel works really nice on gesso. Give it a shot. You'll get more intensity out of it for sure. The watercolor would be more muted. I prepared a whole bunch of gesso pieces recently just to play on, and it's such a great surface. I'm giving credit to Irene for that. She was gessoing all the pages that didn't work out in her sketchbook, and so I started doing that, and it reminded me of there's a product that I purchased called Silver Point Ground, but it basically is just a watered down gesso. And so I had been using that for years, and then didn't really think about using it to prepare, instead of just doing Silver Point.
Mm.
Actually, want to do this one in ink. Another little tip for if you're using a brush, even though it looks like charcoal is being a winner here, but I am using the liquid charcoal, so I'm using a brush, is to how you're holding your brush, and up and down is straight up and down, like so, gives you a little bit more of a gestural stroke because you're almost writing with it instead of painting. Holy moly, is this ever different with a different medium? Oh, gosh. So I'm just telling myself it's okay, go slow, embrace what it's doing. It's different, it is not the same, and that's good, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Hmm. Okay. Does anyone want to do a little share? If not, that's okay. Everyone's on mute as long as you're enjoying yourself.
I can do a share.
Love that. Oh, I know which one this is. Mm-hmm. And you got it in the last one.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah, the value is not needed in the trees. The lighter, it balances nicer compared to the ones that are smudged in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I very much like the first one. But as a contour, yeah, it's I really like that personally, but then the bottom one actually shows what it is, and it has a feeling to it. And
the shapes are very different than an American. There's something different about the trees and the shapes of them that are.
And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And that wonderful rock formation. Yeah, that's gorgeous. So charcoal and larger.
Yeah. So then I went to larger.
She did. Oh, Christine. Oh.
And it is that line that I like. This the drop of the trunks in the picture.
That's my favorite. Although I love the bottom two, the line work you've done what medium is that charcoal?
Oh, these bottom ones were water soluble graphite.
Beautiful. Oh, that's a dense, dark one.
Yeah, I like. Goopy. I had to go wash my hands because it's like black up to my wrists. But they're fun.
Oh, the density of both. So yeah. And not much wrong with the first one, other than I don't think you got the shape of the rock in the way like as the other ones. The second one and the third one really does it for me. There's elements of the fourth one I really like too, just your tree work in there, but it's those two.
Yeah.
Any other comments for Christine?
It's coming along. I'm getting the hang of it.
The last one, actually, what I do like about your line work in the trees is that it's more open. So there's not that heaviness. Yeah. So there's something, a little element of each of them. The smudginess works. Maybe a bit of a combo.
Yeah.
But actually, now that I'm seeing, sometimes if you look at things in a thumbnail, not big, but small,
yeah,
you get a sense of things. And so that fourth one has got a nice space to it.
So I kind of liked the spots for the trees. That's what it looked like to me. But that was when it kind of started coming together.
Yes, that one. And in the last one, I like how you pulled down like the like there's so many of them that they sort of blurred
into just like a direction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you got that one.
Yeah, I think I'll move on to something else now. Well, I was trying paint. It's not I'm less comfortable with paint than charcoal.
Like acrylic?
Yeah. I don't have a language yet. I don't have a, what do you call it? An alphabet of marks. I don't have that. So it'll come.
It will naturally complicate it. The medium is in and of itself complex and layering.
Yes.
So what I think watercolor with its simplicity, like of transparency and building slowly, lends a little bit better. So if you use acrylic like watercolor, maybe.
Yeah. So
fun. We'll definitely talk about color because that is that's another thing too. Okay, so we've nailed Japan, Australia,
and Croatia or something from Naomi.
Yeah, and Cece, where's that sunset willow tree? You don't know.
Oh, she's
Ohio.
Awesome.
I wouldn't be a good lip reader.
Yeah, my mom and dad, they get beautiful sunsets at their house. It's amazing. So I want to try and paint that one for her. Maybe in oil. Yeah. I don't know how it's going to go, but
oil glazing for sure, or in impasto. I mean, either.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a little share of something that you've seen progress here. So with the variations and doing something multiple times, I don't think I actually showed the original. Let me grab it. I've shown you only in photo. Of this variation that kind of inspired it brought together the things that I had been doing. So when I was talking about last week, was that this was, typical work I would do. Would you call that minimal? Well, yeah, unless you have something to compare it to. And then getting into a brush pen. So reducing value. And there's elements of each that I like. Getting into water soluble and more value. But the shapes in and of themselves are simplified using the texture of the paper. Different tool. Big fat marker. And then using, this was liquid acrylic. It was the high flow. So I was using the nozzle to my advantage there. And because I was doing this is the 5th time, it really sank into me what the design was. And out of all of them, I would like to do more of this. So I will share just going from, again, I mean, we all know we could do this high realistically, lots of detail. And so this was simplified. And I quite like it. But then I couldn't stop, obviously, variations, doing this on washi. And there's some really neat things that are happening in there. However, I did exactly what I had told myself not to do, is put in the shadows, and I lost the feeling, lost the composition, lost the design. So one more crack at it. A group of people walking on the path in a forest. And for me, I know what it is. I don't care about anyone else. But this, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have started there. So this is in the hopes that as you reflect on your designs, it's about what is working, what is not. So when you see something simplified, the next step is, so really, where can I take it to now? Like, can I go even further? And that's where, I'm here to help as well. But if I just had stopped here, I still would have won. This is still a winner in comparison to what I would have done in the past. Much, much more simple. Different medium. Okay, you know what? I got carried away. I think the charcoal was better for the shadow, a little hint of them with the smudge. The ink, not so much, but I also lost the structure of the design. So looking back on the design, what is it out of all of those variations that really spoke and captured something? What was essential? So I'm quite happy with that little journey.
Can I share?
Yes, please.
Yes, I think I have been also on a journey. I started with this one, with the charcoal, where I really focus on the dark shapes and that shape of the water.
Mm-hmm.
And then I brought on playing with ink, with the lines. I tried to get the sky in, but very simply. And then I went super crazy with ink.
Ooh.
So I took my really like different tools that give very strong marks. And as I was working on that, it was like, well, what actually is drawing me to that photo is the water. So I tried to put some things in the water, but also got a bit too much. I went with the wash is very thin, so I have to, it's almost transparent.
Oh, gorgeous.
And at that point, it's like, well, do I really need the full mountains and the sky? Or can I just hint at them?
And now I see the water more than ever. Is that on vellum or washi?
That one's washi, but it's a very thin, it's almost like vellum. Like it's super thin.
That's beautiful. It's so interesting in contrast to the ink, which is really heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And that this actually it kind of has an openness to it. You have the value, but you also have space, which is, to me, that land. It was so open and big.
Yeah, this got back to it. Like I thought that the ink, there were aspects I like of this one, but it ended up extremely heavy.
Yes. Got it. You got it. You had to go to those extremes. And I still like this piece for the energy.
Yeah, but it's more about the mountains.
Yes, it is. It's true. Interesting about that feeling of what you're focusing on, because you went to the water and it brought you peace and space.
Yeah.
So wild.
Yeah, it was quite the journey.
Oh my gosh, you have to, Kate, photograph all of those and let's do like a little collage, to visualize like the process of like as a follow-up, so that we can have a reminder, and then also to share with Naomi and Heather when they're back, because that's just brilliant. Each of them holds something really exciting, but that last one, which I don't think you would have started with.
No. No, nothing like any of the thumbnails that I had. Like the thumbnails were still a lot of focus on the dark shade, because that's what was very obvious in the photo.
Mm-hmm. Although that fourth one has a little bit more of that feeling. So the tonal did work out for that, because the fact that you brought in a bit of value on the land and let the water open, it works. You could have done it the other way. You could have had the water darker in the land, the paper. But I think washi really inspires a different way of thinking, because the paper is part of it.
Yeah. I have a sampler, so there's others that aren't nearly as thin, but yeah, this one's very thin.
And then you can get into how do you mount it and frame it.
Yeah. What do you do with that?
Yeah. Do you keep it light, or you could even choose a color so that it's like super subtle, like, say like a blue?
Yeah.
Because if it's
Okay,
about
let's
the
see if I
water,
can actually find it. Huh.
you can also layer multiple.
I kind of work with white behind, but like a yellow, like something
It's not just white.
like
Well, I mean,
blue. That's
that
just white.
yeah, that works. Do you look for blue, something blue,
Yeah, I might have something blue.
even
That was
bright? Just grab the painting behind you, and if it's dry, to your right, and
yeah, it's
put it underneath.
acrylic, but yeah, it's right. Uh,
See, that's interesting. You need something bright when you're layering because it always like masks and subdues. So that's really interesting. I don't know if it makes much of a difference. It might
yeah,
not be as thin tissue as some of the other washi that's out
it
there.
can look as translucent there, because this is bright.
But the orange is showing up more, which so you could play with different colors. Blue may not work so well, but oh, here's another thing. I'll try taking some of. I'm just gonna spotlight this for a second. Try taking some of the variations and layering.
Oh, interesting.
Because now that is extra, right? It's got everything that I ever wanted.
That's interesting.
So I know I want you to work with what you've got, but if variations is something that we're working on, then how could we even combine those or rip pieces apart and start collaging? It's not something I would lean to, but it might work for you. I know that in some previous classes, we've done some collage work that's really been fantastic because you're using your set of skills and experiences from other applications. So that just opens up when you're working with a simple composition and construct, then you can actually like put your attention to detail in other places. I'm going to come back to
So one more.
Ooh.
Getting into color. It's drawing you in.
Can you read the clouds? Is it too much?
The clouds are gorgeous. I'm going to pull up your photo.
It's a different one. So here is the photo.
Okay. There's something too heavy about the trees. I just am not feeling like this lighthouse, or is it a little castle or
a lighthouse?
I'm not feeling like it is in the clouds light. Like there's something heavy about the trees. So play with another variation where those trees are really not necessarily, or maybe the trees are like clouds and they start to become like this thing is up in the clouds.
So maybe filling them in.
No, do you mind just, I'm going to screenshot just so I can see that photo. Okay, thank you. So you got the composition, like you know what the placement of everything. now it's about what is like essential. Where do my screenshots go on my laptop? Oh, here they are. Okay. All right. I'll just do the whole page here. Okay, so we've got the lighthouse, and it's about the shape of that. That'll always be how you get a lighthouse to look like a lighthouse.
Yeah, mine got really fat at the bottom. It's going too fast.
It's a tough one. I used to live in Port Credit, so I draw on the lighthouse quite a lot. So it's just don't worry so much about the lighthouse. That's something that will come. But when I look at like these trees here, and then I look at the clouds, which are really wonderful. I like more like taking a line for a walk.
Oh, okay.
And then you can have kind of like as many clouds as you want, but like, what do you really see?
Right. Because if I put color in, the blue is really pretty. So,
well, and in that, Stacy, you could truly, and it's looking at a different medium where you're just taking the sky. Oops, not dark enough. And then do you even need a different color? You don't really, where it's just about the shape and how this is meeting the sky. That's just my interpretation of like when I look at that, what matters is that sort of burst, the tower, and then kind of like walking up to it. That's a fun one. That's a good reference. Lots to play in with that. And the media wise, you could do the simple ink. Like the simpler the better, and then bring in the shots of color like the blue within the ink, and a little shot of red at the top. And like, do you need a little shot of green? Like, is that getting a little too much? That's up to you. I mean, your desire for simplicity can be different than, say, something that's just a Sumier black ink. You can add little shots of color. But yeah, I'd keep the trees open around it.
Okay.
Maybe even a wash, like you do a wash on the one side of the lighthouse. Ooh. Like for value, if you wanted to play with value tone, because then that's the light side. I have way too big of a brush there, but like, so instead of the trees being dark, and that's your compositional weight.
Okay.
It can be just on the side. Now, a little trick that I've learned, I've shared it in charcoal classes, but to make something look like it's light, you don't actually have to make a line. You can do what's called foiling, which is something in behind it, so that that looks like it's in the light.
Okay.
Mm. Mm. You're such a good boy. Hey, stop it. Good boy. I think I have him on a good schedule because he's just woken up. And it's almost noon. Let's do some final thoughts. And I was thinking I could go through some more photos that you've sent if there's other ones, or you can say, hey, I'd like to do this. How would you approach it? Whether or not you can think that fast, or you can do it after class. But I think it's now perhaps you have a better feeling for, you have to really like the scene to be able to do it 4, 5, 6 times. And you really need to do it that many times to be able to get down to the core. There is a quote that we ran into with the Bone Wind Fire class of Georgia O'Keeffe, where she talks about how simplicity and that ultimate abstraction takes a long time. And we know that she repeated it to get to the looking through the eye at the sky and being able to just put in what matters. Would we know what it is? Would we know it was a bone, like a skull? Maybe not. But truly, to get there, she had to do the concept, maybe not the exact same image, but the concept. So it's something to consider, maybe just like choosing one thing from here on. Is it sunsets? Is it like, I said, let's focus on landscapes, but if there is something else, don't hesitate because it's open. I really feel doing Naomi's rooftops a few times was because I really I think that's the ultimate challenge is something like that. I've never really considered taking a photo of a whole bunch of rooftops, but using the wrong paper.
Yeah.
this is a drawing paper using with charcoal and a big brush, and the way that I could come in and actually like erase, like I can literally erase, which is so interesting, just with some water, and then making a mistake by putting in this line. I actually quite like that. So this is still simplified to me, because I know how I would approach it in different mediums. So playing, gosh, I love our group because of just this quiet play this morning of, all right, well, get a different sheet of paper, get a different pencil. Let's keep it up. Keep doing it. It's very devoted and disciplined. So, hey.
Yeah.
I hope that's just a little bit closer to feeling that you got it, because you are doing it.
Right.
And that's the answer.
Yeah.
Next week, we're going to play with color, but I'm going to suggest minimal palettes for what we sort of touched on today.
Yeah.
And I think that's up to you. I wouldn't suggest acrylic. It's just too intense of a beast of paint. Something keeping the spirit of simplicity: watercolor, colored pencils, soft pastels, watercolor crayons, something where you can have well, I guess it's have the variety without the fuss.
I'm going to be away for the next 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
For the next 3 weeks. But this was really worthwhile. I'm glad that I did these 2 classes, because the idea of essence of something, and even in these 2 weeks, I can see that I'm getting the idea. So just a few minutes in, I changed the picture and did something completely different. So this was the photograph.
Oh, where's that? Is that Greece?
Yeah, that's Greece. And then I did those. So
lift up a little so I can see the one on the bottom. So I want to make an observation so that you can see when you go forward. You are making beautiful strokes. So now it's about where to put them, how much of it, because your line work, the variegation, the weight is there. Okay. So this, handful of tools you've been using today, the pressure, the response from you to the paper is really working out well.
Yeah. And then I just went to another landscape. We just
it's the second one.
Up here?
So the one beside it.
This one.
Yeah.
And you know what? Yeah, the small one. Yeah.
There's elements of the first one with the clouds you could put in there as well, but there's something about that flow of line. And there's 2 lines in there.
Yeah.
They both have good flow. And then you can start to, add things. But there's something very strong at that core. That's the core.
So it really is, exercising your brain in a way that at least I'm not comfortable with, or I'm not used to. Right. And that's the challenge. That's really awesome. So I thank you. And I'll see you in about a month.
Thank you for coming for what you could, Christine. Are you traveling?
Yeah. We're going to Scandinavia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I had to cancel last year because I hurt my back. So this one's been in the works for a little while.
That's exciting. Well, I can't wait to hear about it when you get back. I know you're in the next class in June.
Yes.
We'll see you then. As you're traveling and sketching, remember, it's not about capturing the simplicity of the design all the time, but just when you're sketching, just consider your marks and and what is just the mark alone, the line quality. So when you're dragging that pencil across, that is it's got to have a lyrical dance to it for you to continue dancing with it, right? Like
I quite often say that I have it in my head and I know where, and I just can't get it onto the paper. You know, it's here, and I know I can't tell you what it is, but it's here. And it's like, it's just gonna get onto that page.
That's so interesting. I'm a bit the opposite, maybe. There is nothing up here. My head is empty.
Yeah.
It's literally me reacting to what's happening. And then I'm like, oh, there it is. Like it's a reveal to me. Like I honestly see.
I can hold the tool in my hand and I think I know, and I just want to put it on the page.
That's so workable. And then also just perhaps be like the curious, like, but I don't have it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So let's just keep it a surprise. Like, I don't know. So that line is is something that it wows you when it comes out. Now, like, I mean, everyone here makes beautiful marks. And so this isn't about changing anything. And I'm not sure which mindset might work for you, but to be surprised by yourself and to see what comes out and to react, I do know can work in tandem with, I already have it in here. I just want you to be set up for delight.
To hear you react to your mark is really awesome, right? Like, oh, wow, I like that. To hear you express that, it's encouraging, right? It's like, oh yeah, I like that mark. And so even when you're not teaching, you're teaching. And it's so awesome.
I think demos are really important because I'm not I can talk, but I mean, when it comes down to it, it is about the result. And there's a lot of artists that I've met in the last 10 years now, which is wild because COVID just stole
big chunk
calendar right out from underneath us. But for 10 years now, who have been working on their art for 10 years. But this is literally something that I knew when I was like 7. I'm going to be drawing. So there's something of an obsession that I've had for a really long time. People have made observations for me as well. Oh, you do this, you do that. So it is something that has to be conscious for a while, which is uncomfortable and maybe a little awkward to like reflect on what it is that you're doing when you do something you like.
Yeah.
But it will become unconscious again. And that's the goal, is to just be present, be aware. It's like, I'd love for whatever you sketch anytime on your journeys, Christine, but for all of us, anytime, to never judge that sketch and be like, this is amazing. But if it's not quite what was in your head that you wanted, then I am going to do this again and again and again, and to not feel frustrated about it. I think that's maybe where I feel for people when they're like, they're angry, they're frustrated, they're not, kind of feels like they've given up.
Well, quite often I don't see what you're seeing. When you tell me this about my drawing, and I'll go, I don't see it. And I'll be working on things, and I'll say to my husband, is this anything? Like, is this anything? Is this worth, continuing? And he's not a visual artist at all, but it's like, I really don't know if this is anything. So I just keep doing it. Just keep doing it.
That works as well, Christine, is that you're not judging, you're not sure, but I'd say to be open and unsure is better than to be so certain what you're doing is wrong. And that you're the one who is making that statement. So,
and I will turn the board around so that we can see it from downstairs. Whatever it is I've done today will be on the board, and we turn it around. I turn it around, and everybody who goes by can see it. And I keep looking at it. Just, do I like it? What was I trying to do here? Did I get to there? And I keep coming back, so it's good.
I will always throw a challenge out there for us, which I think just simply choosing our own reference photos and projects. Could you imagine if I was giving us all the same landscape? This idea would flop because there's many variations, but those variations are you. You're choosing different materials, you're choosing different design aspects. But if we were all do it and all be like looking at each other's work, we'd be coming up with similar things that, like, oh, it's, this is the one that Char did. Like, forget about everything else.
As you talked earlier, everybody has their own mark, and it is their language. And so what anybody else is doing is maybe you'll think it's absolute, but that's their mark. It's not your mark, right? And so you can't compare the two. It's not a real thing.
It's art therapy to start appreciating your marks.
Yeah.
There is a quality of line that everyone else can feel when you find something that is to me, it's like an internal rhythm. So when that comes out and is a reflection, like a really authentic, embraced, not forced, not just, okay, accepted. Really accepted. This isn't like looking in the mirror going like, I love you. You're still no, this is like,
this is it.
This is my life. I'm creating it. I'm owning it. And I think that the other people feel that. So that's, and I appreciate that that's what we want to. So for what it's worth, I want you to feel it, but I also want you to know that other people feel it. And then when they walk by your work, they're also like, oh, you got me. So that is the goal. I may look I think it might be helpful if I looked for some other artists' work where we can learn from, like, as I was doing some of this, I was like, oh, I was thinking about these artists. So I'm going to see what I can pull together, even if it's just a dozen, to look at some examples of other artists' work.
Yeah.
That not in comparison, just as in
this is what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Japanese sumie as well. Like I have the philosophy in mind, and I'll send you that kind of the main points of sumie just to keep it in mind on your travels. And I'll see you guys.
And keep posting your stuff, ladies, because I want to see where you take it. I want to see where you take it. So
yes.
Enjoy.
We have the messenger group if you just want to do it between us, and then if I can help with photos or collages or anything to see it continue, like a variation, that's something you can do with an app, or I can help with. I think it's nice to see that. Where did I start? Where did I go? Where did I end off?
Yeah.
And I'm excited. So next week, color.
Awesome.
Have a great long weekend.
Enjoy. Bye. Peace.